All right, well, I'm back from the hospital. Um, there was some unpleasant aspects to it, but I've had worse ER visits. Uh, it lasted about, I don't know, 5, 6 hours. And I got my heart shocked right around between, I think they called it 7:31 because they call what time it is before you go under and they shock you. Because they push, I forget what the name of the drug they push into you, but you're there 1 minute and you're gone the next. But I made a funny joke, which only I think one person in the room got, but it was very good. Which is they're getting ready to shock me, right? And they're just waiting for me to pass out. I'm almost passed out, and the guy who's the chief doctor there in charge, his phone starts ringing real loud, and I'm like, "Wait a minute, is that a reprieve from the governor?" And only one person in the room got it, and they laughed. Getting shocked, electric chair, last minute reprieve, you get it. But anyways, that was pretty good considering I was about ready to pass out. They put you out, and then you wake up, and you can tell right away that your heart is okay, but you're groggy off your ass. And the thing about this that is tragic for me is it just takes me a long time to trust my heart, and I got to where I was trusting my heart. It's where I'm not like, that feeds in. If you got anxiety already, that feeds into your anxiety. There's nothing more critical to you than your heart. So you you start checking your heart, and it gets to be a vicious cycle, and you become more aware of your heartbeat and stuff. And I'm already like uh, got the bad leg and can't walk around, so I'm spending a lot of time just me and my buddy, my heart. So yeah, I still got I just got home and I ate something and I made some phone calls, canceling my appointment today and canceling my transportation for today, and calling my doctor. We might as well make this a Benzo report. Calling my doctor about getting a refill on my alprazolam and or Xanax, whichever you prefer to call it. And I think I can get one more um, bottle of 60 pills out of him, you see. But this is the fifth, and on the third, I got a crazy script from the psych guy I see for 120 10 milligram pills of Valium. And there's a refill on it, so it's actually 240 10 milligram pills of Valium. Now I was paying $3 for a 5 milligram pill off the street. And what I found out is like you have to have a steady supply of that. You can't like use Valium to switch to Valium and stretch out your Xanax and all that. And then you don't have volume anymore because it doesn't work. You have to have a sustained amount. So I'm going to have really what amounts to me 480 pills. But I calculated the street value of it, and the street value of it from what I was paying, $1,440. So I did good as far as that. So I've got like roughly 60 pills in stockpile on the Xanax. If he fulfills this prescription for 60, that'll be like I'll have 120 Xanax and I'll have 240 volumes. So it's all going to be up to me and my weak little heart about getting off of this shit. So I'll have all the resources I need, and he has a schedule all worked out for me, which he told me more or less to play it by ear. He said, I don't want you starting out at too high of a dose of volume because that's just going to make more work for you. I didn't tell him, because I wanted him to prescribe as much for me as possible. So I didn't tell him that I was taking just 5 milligrams of volume at a time or 2.5 milligrams of volume at a time. I let him prescribe whatever the hell he wanted to prescribe. So what he actually prescribed to me was, at the beginning anyway, 40 milligrams a day of volume, two of those 10 milligram pills twice a day as a substitute. for the Xanax. And anyways, so that's taken care of. But now I got this thing with this heart, which drives me crazy because it's at any moment. Like I woke up, I didn't even have a bad dream that I remember, but I woke up and I'm in AFib arrhythmia and I can feel it. And I know my whole existence is turned down. I know I could have a stroke, or that's about the worst thing. That's as bad as it gets. Those strokes. That's what killed my father. Um, you know, um, but if you catch arrhythmia within the first 48 hours, they don't have to thin your blood. But the guy was, he was like campaigning mildly hard to keep me in the hospital, and I was just like, no, no, no. I said, the last time I was in here and I had this, I know exactly when I get it. I got it at 3 p.m., which I got it at like 2:30, maybe 2 o'clock in the morning, but I said I got it at 3. I got it at 3 p.m. I know exactly when I got it. It's only like 6 o'clock now. It's just go ahead and shock me and send me home. I said, you don't need to keep me in the hospital. And he's like, well, you realize there's a risk of stroke, so this can actually kill you if we shock your heart and it gets that ventricle pumping again. And that ventricle has clotted blood in there. Those blood clots get into your system and it'll kill you. And I'm like, yeah, I'm aware of that. Yeah, but now I'm back to like, I'm not going to be trusting my heart. And I'm not going to, yeah. I mean, it took me like at least 6 months to get over just constant anxiety over it. And one thing is, my heart does respond well to being shocked. But here's the question, since this is supposed to be a Benzo report. It's like, I can't remember the relationship between my heart troubles and the benzo thing. So, I know that a lot of people, they blame just everything on their benzo thing, which may or may not be reasonable. But I had my first episode when I was 36, and I didn't even know, I never touched a benzo before. And I had my first episode of arrhythmia when I was 36, and I've told this before, but I went into the doctor's office and he's like, "What are you doing in here?" And I'm like, "What do you mean? Don't I have an appointment?" He goes, "Yeah, you have an appointment, but didn't you look out in that waiting room? Everybody in here is twice your age. What are you doing in here?" And I thought he was implying that I was blasting on some crack or something like that. That I damaged my heart somehow through some illegal activities. He didn't know it at the time, but shit, I could ride a bicycle. My cardio was crazy. I was in crazy good shape back then. That's how I got in. That's how I got in arrhythmia. Is I was working out with 38-pound dumbbells and doing like a hour and 15 minutes to an hour and a half set workout with heavy dumbbells, and I could pedal from one city to another city. This is back when. This is when I was 36. And then I had my next episode of arrhythmia when I was 46, which is roughly nearly 5 years ago. And that was a result of, I'm going to be brutally frank with you people, because at this point I don't really give a fuck. But that was a result of MMC, marijuana, masturbation, and smoking cigars. Because I was jacking off high as fuck and smoking cigars. And I ended up in a ambulance out front. And something happened during that process. Because I got in the habit of doing that and going to sleep. And I was going through a very bad time in my life because I had severe emotional conflicts going on, and my mom was dying slowly of dementia. And so I was doing a lot of that escapist stuff that people do with drugs, and that was, you know, that was like what I thought relatively harmless compared to what other people were doing. So it didn't turn out to be harmless for me because I had CRPS and compromised health, and I had AFib arrhythmia once before. So anyways, I'm in the ambulance room. I'm still, I'm in the ambulance outside, and they're like, "What were you doing?" And I was like, "I'm high off my ass. I was in there." I told them exactly what I just told you. I said I was in there rubbing one out, high off my ass, trying to go to sleep, and they just started laughing. They're like, "Well, at least he's honest." And that happened to me. Well, the other time that it happened to me that I remember, um, I had done that the night before, and then I woke up in the morning with arrhythmia. I was still hungover and high from the night before because I would wake up. I was being like super careless. I would wake up and I'd look in my ashtray, and there'd be like 5 cigar butts in there, and I'm like, "When the fuck did I smoke 5 cigars?" And when you're high, especially with the stupid super weed they got nowadays, you're not keeping track of what you're doing. You're not being careful. You're not keeping track of how much you smoke. I'm around people that smoke pot all the time, and it's like they don't even think about what they're doing, and I was the same way. But I quit all that. I kind of got the hint, not being completely stupid. It's like I seem to be high as fuck in an ambulance with arrhythmia twice now, and yeah, I need to stop doing that. And then the third time, I had just woke up in the morning, and I was still high from the night before a little bit, and then I ended up in the ambulance. And I'm like, well, that's the end of the weed. And it's kind of funny because when I went to my December 3rd appointment where I scored all that Valium, the dude was asking me about my pains, like, "You ever try marijuana?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he said, "How about CBD oil?" I'm like, "Well, I looked into that, but I really didn't know what I was buying with that." And he goes, "Really, I'm not allowed to ask you these questions?" And I said, "Well, we can have reverse confidentiality. You don't tell people what I say, and I won't tell people what you say. And since I'm not using his name and you don't know who he is, I'm honoring that." But yeah, he was laughing about it. He said, "Well, CBD oil helps some people with pain." And he didn't really say about it helping people's withdrawal symptoms, but I hear it does that too. So, as far as like, so I used to like to smoke cigars. I quit doing that. I used to like to smoke weed, jack off at the same time. I quit doing that. I didn't quit doing that third thing because that's not humanly possible. Uh, but this shit here, this is straight bullshit that I would wake up and be in AFib. It just doesn't make any sense. There's no deviation from routine. There's nothing to point at. Like, "Hey, dude, you smoked like 6 cigars last night. Was smoked like 4 bowls of pot. What the fuck?" There's nothing like that. And you kept your heart rate up by jacking off. Nothing like that to point at. So, um, you know, this is gonna. I will see how it is. Maybe it won't terrorize me as bad, or maybe it's getting to the point where like I've had my heart shocked 5 times now. Maybe it'll be like it was today, where I'm making jokes right up until the end. Maybe that calls a reprieve from the governor, which I got to hand to myself, man. That was goddamn clever considering the circumstances. Most people would be like chewing their lips raw. They'd be so damn nervous. But no, I don't really know how much of this I can blame on benzos. I know benzos messes with my stomach. I know that for a goddamn mortal certainty. Certainty. Anesthetic talking. I know that for a mortal certainty that that my stomach is messed up and jacked up a lot of times with the benzo belly thing. So I know that for a fact. Now whether I've heard people that have commented on my videos say that that they've had more issues with their heart since they were taking benzos. So my goal is still to get off of benzos and um, see if that helps with everything. See if that makes me feel better physically in every way. And since the 5th, I got to go into my pain management appointment on the 11th. But I got to get something done with my legs so I can get some mobility and reduce some of my stress. I got some other plans for reducing some of my stress. I, I, I yeah, I don't really. It's kind of hard to pinpoint stress sometimes, but I'm going to come up with a policy where like the Bank of Steve is closed, and it's like no more loaning money. because I don't care about money all that much. That's I'm messed up physically. I care about my health. I care about the way I feel. I care about not being bothered by people. I don't. If I got enough money to eat, enough money to keep my internet on, I I don't. I could give a fuck. But if I'm loaning out money to people and I'm starting to feel resentful about it because of their behavior, or it's just starting to aggravate me because I'm getting a runaround over it, instead of them even communicating like when they'll pay me, or they'll tell me when they pay me and they don't want, I can cut all that out. And just, I'm going to give everybody a Christmas present that owes me money. And just be like, Bank Steve is closed. You can consider yourself ahead. But don't, under any circumstances, you might as well not ask me to borrow money, because the answer is always going to be no. And you know, maybe with the one caveat of I might contribute to your bail money. But yeah, yeah, I would really. I just wish it was clearer in my mind. And Benzo's not necessarily good for having clarity of mind, to where I could figure out, like, I don't remember dates all that well. That's one thing about doing these videos, that help that the date is marked down there, so I can kind of get like a chronology to what's been going on. But that's only since I've been doing videos since March 18th. But really, I don't keep track of time all that well, so I don't really remember the whole episodes, or if there's any kind of relationship between my arrhythmia episodes and my heart troubles and the benzo intake and whatnot. Now, an interesting thing to note is that while I was going through all that shit in the summertime, where I was under extreme stress, where I had family pressures, I had squatters in the building, I had a meth house open across the street, a meth cookhouse, I was having meth sold out of this building, I was having conflict with people, I was actually confronting people with a fucking machete, I was talking to police, I had drug dealers knowing it was me causing them the trouble, and I still keep a light on in my living room at night, even after all these months, just in case. Just, I don't think there's going to be any reprisals coming my way yet, but I was going through all this stress. My heart was freaking fine. There's no logic to it, I don't think, or any reason to it. But the one thing I can say is, while I was going through all that stress in the summer, is I was taking less Xanax than I'm taking now. I was taking less benzos than I'm taking now. So you can take from that what you will, or you can make out of that what you will. That's just the facts. A lot of times the facts suggest things, but they can be coincidental. So, but I already made that video this morning while I was in AFib and in despair, because I know this is how this is going to affect me now. I'm just going to be checking in on my heart all the time. Like, how are we doing today? Are you going to ruin my fucking day today, son? You little pink bastard, red bastard. Are you going to work right? And yeah, I did notice, like, a week ago, I was aware of my heart like I used to be. Like, I used to just sit there and feel my heart beating. And I remember I was like, what's that about? And I took a blood pressure pill over it. It wasn't beating erratically. I was just aware of it. And I'm like, this must be a minor anxiety thing I'm having. So I need to reduce my anxiety, and reduce, after today, reduce my Xanax intake, because I took a what would it be, 0.75. I took 3/4 of a milligram of Xanax before I went into the emergency room, because I'm extremely uncomfortable in the emergency room physically. Emotionally I can handle it, but physically it's just torture for me, laying there freezing my ass off and not being able to cover up right. It's physically torturesome. So yeah, so I took a 50 the night, or 50. I took a half a milligram the night before to sleep, and then I woke up with the AFib. And then after I woke up with the AFib, I started out by taking a 1/4 milligram, and then I said, well, I might as well take another half, because I'm going to be in the emergency room and I'm going to be freaking miserable. And then they let's see, was it after they? Yeah, it was after they shocked me. After they shocked me, when I was just laying there, and I had some other stresses I don't want to go into, where certain parts of me were not working correctly, and I was having trouble peeing. I guess I am going into it. So, you know, I'm sitting there like freshly shocked and all groggy and shit. And I took two Xanax in my pocket in case I needed it, and I took it out underneath the sheet. I dry swallowed one. I was smart enough to bring gum. Always bring gum when you go to the emergency room, because they don't let you drink anything, and if you get cotton mouth, you're screwed. So that's my tip for today. You have to go to the emergency room, bring gum. But yeah, as far as I know, my heart's beating regular. You know, I'm. So this is very depressing and horrible thing to have to go through. But you know, I've thought maybe this was a part of the past for me, this arrhythmia thing, and it may be in my future, and I mean it may be more frequent in my future if it's related to the CRPS and the CRPS gets worse. I don't know. It's not a. It's just a bad situation. But like I said, I'm bound and determined to give it a couple of months and at least see if I can get to where I'm walking around again, where I can use my legs. My left leg don't have. It's like a stick, man. It don't have any meat on the lower calf or nothing. That's my bad leg. My right leg is the leg where I got the burst cyst, where it's extremely painful. So I don't have any good leg no more. I used to have a good leg and I have a bad leg. Now I just got two bad legs. But if I can get back to the point where I can walk around and not be like I was after I went to my bone scan appointment and walked all over that damn huge Altman hospital, and where like 2 days I was messed up for two days because of that, where I can work with that limb and build it up and walk better. That will be a huge difference. And the bone scan visit, which I talked about in the video where I had arrhythmia, I could see inside the knee. They don't give you an IV. They just give you a needle. They give you a needle full of radioactive isotopes, and then they had a screen up, and they had like a, I don't know, like a board square thing that they put over top of my legs around the knees, and I could see inside my knees, and I could see it didn't look good in there. Like I got inflammation on both knees, but they say that happens sometimes because when one knee goes bad, the other knee compensates and gets weird forms of stress put on it. So the right leg was bright white, and the left leg was not as bright. And the right leg is where I had the cyst in my leg that burst. So yeah, I don't know if it's interesting people to hear about all these medical horrors or alarming. It is very alarming uh, to think about all the things that can go wrong with the human body, and to have a living, breathing example of it before you speaking. But yeah, that's one thing. Like that feeling of invincibility when you're young and before you have any major health deals, man, that is something special. But you young folks don't appreciate that kind of thing. Neither did I. Don't appreciate the value of that. It's like Kurt Vonnegut Jr. said, man, enjoy the beauty and power of your youth. And if you want to mix that with the book of Ecclesiastes, it says basically enjoy the beauty and power of youth because days of darkness are coming upon you. And it's talking about old age. So, but yeah, there's something about it. Like once you've had a surgery or once you've had a serious medical problem of some kind, you're never this. You never think the same. You know, you realize your own vulnerability and your own mortality in a different way. Because I mean, you take a healthy guy, and he knows all about the concepts of death and the concept of illness and the concept of suffering, but they're just ideas, man. They're, but when you have to live them and they become real, That's a whole nother ball game. Anyways, that's 25 minutes of your time. I just wanted to let you know that I'm still alive and I didn't have any stroke, even though the doctor warned me, you might have a stroke, young man, blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't give a fuck, old man. He's younger than I was, the doctor. But he's like, as long as you know it, you're aware of the risk. And I'm like, yeah, 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 just, I'm not staying in here. Just shock me and send me home. And I was, I didn't, obviously didn't have a stroke and obviously didn't die. So here I am. I have mixed feelings about not dying because I would just like to get everything done that I wanted to get done with this life. And like, I don't like uh, the conflicts I have in my relationships, and like the people that I would like to just like do like a farewell tour, like a baseball player, where he walks around and high fives all the people in the stands. Oh, my phone's ringing. Darn. What do we got here? An undefined number. Well, anyways, I'm gonna let it ring. But I would like to be like one of them guys that walk around and just like when the baseball players do a farewell tour, except for like just reconnect with people and like um, just reconnect with them and say, I'm sorry for this if I did something bad, or like, this is just the way things turned out. Just like get in touch with all these people. So I have a lot of people that I haven't seen for decades, and and other people that I just have current, stupid, ridiculous conflicts going with, and I just like to get all that straightened out, and then like my contribution to humanity would be my studies of human psychology as it relates to belief, and like I was working on that, but that's very hard to do. And I'm not an actor. I wanted to like memorize it and read it and speak to you earnestly and off the cuff like I'm doing now, but I don't think I can do that because you have to be so careful with the wording of it. The wording has to be very precise, and so I probably have to read it like a jerk off, and like somebody making a speech, which I don't like the idea of that. But yeah, those are two of the things that I'd like to get done. I mean, there's really only so much you can do for people. Uh, but yeah, that would put, I would also like to publish my novels at least on YouTube. That would be cool. Publish my novels on YouTube before I croak. Uh, Go around and see people that I haven't seen that were a part of my life, and just like reconnect with them at least briefly, and just see what there is to be said there. Resolve all my conflicts, and uh, being a human being is about passing down knowledge. So I spent a lot of time learning about a very specific thing, and I would like to pass that down too. And with the wonder of this modern technology and social media, I can do that, and people can look at it and make what they will of it. So, but in the meantime, uh, except for the part about the increased anxiety I'm going to have with my heart, I am happy to have a second chance to do all those things, and you will be hearing from me from time to time if you enjoy hearing the sound of my voice. As well, I'll take 50% as much as I enjoy hearing the sound of my voice. So, Godspeed, God bless, good fortune, whichever one you prefer. And I survived yet another harrowing experience. I've had plenty of those. And may your fortunes be kinder. Goodbye.